There we are.
There we go.
Okay.
Look at that $35 haircut Maddie's got.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, that's a $50 haircut, folks.
With the rub and tug.
Michael's is a $2 haircut.
Please. Great Clips had a coupon.
Okay. Here we go.
Welcome back to the 101, brought to you by Lincoln Wallace. This is Michael Morris, and with me, as always, Madison Gillespie. Madison, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me again.
Andrew is gone. He is on assignment. He's in Vail.
Yeah.
And he asked if we could move the show, and we politely said, no, we don't need you.
It's actually kind of nice. This is consecutive weeks with not having him on here.
That is true. We've had 2
we should
weeks
take
of
a moment of silence.
Yeah. Let's do that. Heads
Okay.
down. Okay, back to the show. So that was for you, Andrew.
Miss you, buddy.
So today, the topic we're going to talk about, and Madison, this is your topic. You wanted to talk about, is college necessary in business and entrepreneurship? And I think it was such a cool thing because at the time I'm looking at this Elon Musk quote that says, I didn't go to Harvard, but I employ a bunch of guys that went to Harvard.
That's right.
And he didn't go to college. This is a guy who dedicated his life to, at first it was PayPal, and then he moved on to SpaceX and Tesla. And I wanted you to kind of address why you thought that was an important topic to talk about.
Well, in the world of social media, we have access to so many videos all the time through Facebook, Instagram. And so I think you get to see a lot more of these entrepreneurs or people of power or of significance. They call them influencers. You get to hear the story a little bit. And I came across one on Facebook about Elon Musk and talking about his journey and how he got to where he got. And one of the big obstacles that he went through was nobody believing in him.
Right. They all thought every step that he wanted to do, they were like, why are you going to build rockets? Why are you going to build an electric car? You know, what PayPal, who wants that?
Right.
Well, it turns out people want that.
And PayPal has stayed the course for, 15 plus years with Venmo and all these other options coming out for ways to pay stuff. They still are a really relevant source for all of us on a daily basis for any type of purchasing we do. So he created something that's been sustainable. Then he got into the electric car motors, which people, I mean, we know the stories behind that.
Right.
It can kill an industry it can kill the automotive industry from a fuel standpoint for all the money we are pouring into gas-powered vehicles. So I think the push against him doing that was the fear of the unknown. And he has people in his life that are telling him he can't do it and that he's not going to accomplish it. And not only does he create Tesla, then he creates SpaceX. And in the video I was watching, it was showing how, to your point, the college that he didn't go to Harvard, but he employed people that did. And what that looks like, and that there's people that jumped on board to his ideas without him having that same background of education that they had.
And I think the other key to this, and I'm sure we'll get into this later, but the best quote is, when he sold PayPal for millions and millions of dollars, he put all of that money into Tesla and had to borrow $500 for rent because he wasn't going to give it. He knew where he needed to go. He was willing to put the time in, but he was also willing to put all of his chips in.
And he had the people that encouraged. You don't realize how many people influence you to get where you're at.
Right.
You, I'm sure, have stories of that. I do.
Yeah, no one believed in me.
Well, I get that part of it. I still don't.
Again, the haircut.
But no, in the video, he talks about, he gets emotional and starts crying because the people that shut him down on the SpaceX idea and what he's accomplishing right now are the people that encouraged him to get there and didn't even know that they were his form of inspiration.
Right.
But now those are the same people telling him that he can't do it, and he is doing it. So here you have a billionaire that's getting emotional because people are telling him he can't succeed at something when he's already a billionaire.
Right.
Like, think of that concept, though.
But let's take a step more on the local level.
Yeah.
Your background, we never met before meeting at Starbucks when you had Lincoln Wallace.
Right.
And I had heard your name from your sales manager, who you guys were like best buddies. And he believed in you, but it was one of those things like you came from nowhere. Like no one expected you to succeed. You guys were friends. He gives you a job. But your background is not in marketing or sales or any of that. What is your background?
I mean, originally my background, I went to business school. I got a 2 years associate's degree for business school because I didn't know what I wanted to do exactly. I mean, I had an idea. I love business. My mom was an entrepreneur. My dad was an entrepreneur. But it was in a field of, my dad was a minister. My mom was a nurse. They ran a daycare. So I didn't really have this platform from a family standpoint to, hey, take over the family business. And I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. So I thought, well, get a 2-year degree at least in a field that I'm interested in. But that ended up transitioning into me going into nursing after that.
Well, there's a direct correlation between business and
Totally,
nursing.
yeah. Business leads to nursing, right?
Right.
No, yeah. And I think it was just, I got into where I'm at now based on relationships. Truthfully.
Right. Well, that's how you ended up on this radio show.
That's right, yeah.
But
Through
again,
you.
well, I mean, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
we
you.
got to give you credit. The fact that we put this together from sitting down at Starbucks, right? Of just meeting each other and having mutual interest and getting along and laughing together, to actually put something where we're on the radio talking about stuff that we care about and we're passionate about. Like, that's really cool. So a lot of props to you for kind of structuring all this. And
Well, it's about time.
yeah.
What I wanted to talk about, though, is the fact that none of this had to do with our college education. My degree was in communications. There was not a radio station at the school. It was interpersonal communication. And I remember going to my counselor and saying, I'm trying to get into radio or media. How's this going to work? And they're like, this is like as a sophomore. They're like, oh, I don't know how you get into that, but you can teach. And I thought I could sell Amway, but I didn't have to come to school for it for 4 years and pay $40,000. So when I got out of school, it was literally because I sent 27 resumes to 27 radio stations, and then I get a phone call, and when they bring me in, they're asking me personality questions. And I'm like, this has got to be the easiest thing ever. And I get the job, I'm wearing a suit, and they said, you've got the job. And they said it was going to be $25,000. And I had never had $25,000.
So you're like, jackpot.
I'm like, great, what is the job? And my boss's face went completely blank. He's like, it's selling advertising. And I'm like, selling advertising to who?
Right.
Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Because I did not know through college that people sold advertising. Now, I left that job after 15 years to start my own company. So I did last a while doing something I had no idea what I was doing. But none of my college prepared me for that.
Well, you started your own company based off experience, not based off
right
factual information that somebody told you to read and learn.
But it still took me 10 or 11 years to do it.
Right.
Because...
Was that based off fear, or is it based off...
It's based on not knowing.
Right.
Because had I said... Now, I'm going to say this.
Don't get
emotional.
emotional.
My daughter is... I'm not. Elon Musk does not believe in me. If my daughter was to say, am I supposed to go to college? You're going to go to college. Okay? Because college is... When you get that degree, it sets you apart. So we all know that HR people are going to look in and say, well, this person has a college degree.
Sure.
So they must be better.
Right.
Right? That was always the thing that divided the haves and the have-nots. If you don't have a college degree, when you're trying to get a raise, you're trying to move up, they'll say, yeah, but you don't have that education. That's not what matters, and especially in entrepreneurship. If you don't have an education, but you have the passion and you take calculated risks, not gamble, you're going to succeed, right? I mean, you've seen it.
Yeah.
The example of your family, like, is it your brother in Denver that has...
My brother-in-law, yeah.
Your brother-in-law. That guy is making a mint and does not have a college degree.
That's right.
But he's helped you because he needs your help. He needs your expertise. It has nothing to do with your degree. It is, you know how to market. You know how to run a business.
Build relationships.
Right.
Yep.
So there's a need for that. None of that college education has brought us to that point.
No, it hasn't. And college isn't designed to teach you everything that you need to know in that specific... College isn't designed to give you all the answers. It gives you a platform for having the base knowledge of what you're getting into.
Right.
And I think a lot of us don't take advantage of the people around us and feed off their information to help you kind of get where you're wanting to go too. You know, as far as starting a business, there's a lot more involved than just being able to sell something. You have to know the back end and know, all the stuff that we talk about week in and week out, but actually using people that you've already networked with to help you to co-create something that can get you to that next level. And I agree with you. College is extremely important. And I think going into college not knowing what you want to get into is the scary part. The amount of debt that you accumulate just to have a certificate or a piece of paper to take to an employer and say, hey, look at me, I actually accomplished something. That on paper separates you from somebody else.
Well, I think because college is looked at as, the way I looked at it was, you're going to get a degree. And I remember my dad saying, it doesn't matter what, just get a degree, it doesn't matter what it's in. I think he might have figured it out because he has like 9 degrees. He just loved going to school.
Mm-hmm. And some people do, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's great if you want to do that.
Sure,
Read a book, I guess, whatever. But when I was going to school, I thought, well, I'm going to accomplish this task, but why do I need to take physics and geometry and these things to be in radio? All college is to prove that you can take a task over a 10 to 16 week period and you can complete it. And the grade you're given is, how much time did you put into this? How much did you dedicate yourself?
Do you care about what you're actually...
But that trains you to go to a 9-to-5 job, because you and I worked in media, sat in a cubicle where it was all on you to perform your 100% commission sales. But at the end of the day, you still have to report to somebody. And you have to be there from 9 to 5 because you're just one of those people you're just a puzzle piece.
Right.
And I can remember when I was getting ready to leave, I was so amped up, and I thought, I did the Jerry Maguire. I got the fish out of the thing, and I was like, who's coming with me? Who's coming with me?
And everybody's like, you're crazy.
And everyone's like, man, once you get this up and running, 8 years later, I'm still waiting on a phone call to see if somebody needs to know directions. They didn't come. And you know what? Half those people don't even work in the business anymore. Yeah. They sell, I don't even know, sporting goods or whatever it is they're doing. And the other half are still sitting there at their desk hating the fact that they're there because they won't take the chance. That's why you're younger than I am. You're not better looking, but you're younger.
I'm not. I'm trying.
And when I look at you and I'm thinking, I wish I was your age when I started. Because I started at 33, which I thought was old. And then as I'm older, I'm like, oh, if I would have started in my 20s. Because the difference in experience, you learn so much faster.
Well, you do. And the older you get, the more fear's created.
Right.
You know, like...
Oh, because you have kids and you have a mortgage and all that?
You have actual obligations that you have to follow through on financially. If you have a family, if you have a child, like there's a lot more that goes into it. Right. And getting a later start in life is a lot more challenging. And I just think that if you can really connect with somebody that has your best interests, that sees your skill set of what you're actually good at, that you can actually get to that spot a lot sooner without knowing all the answers.
But that's the toughest part, right? That is the reason, actually, why this show exists. Because I don't know how many people, like, I don't look at the numbers and go, we're really doing well on Sunday morning.
Right, yeah,
I don't really care.
Yeah.
We're doing it on Facebook Live because if you are somebody who wants to start your own business, I want to bring other people on here to say, here's their story. But when we started this, it was, what was your concept? How hard was it? And where are you going? It was always those 3 steps, because if you're going to start a business, you got to go all in. And I think a lot of people are like, I want to do this because I want the time off. I want to work when I want to work. This is really an 18 to 20 hour a day job. Some of those hours, there's nothing going on. And then from 6 to 8 o'clock at night, you could have stuff you have to do. The clock is always running on you, but it's your clock.
So, yeah, it is. That's where the freedom part comes in. I mean, I have even friends that I'm close to that kind of ask, well, why are you in the position that you're in right now? Why did you start your own company? Why did you want to pursue that? And my whole journey, everything that I've gone after from day one after high school and trying to solidify my career, almost everything I've gotten into has had a lot of fear attached to it. And in some aspects, that fear is the exciting part.
Right.
Like, it's almost like I get to go and prove that I can accomplish something.
Right.
And then
because there's no net, right?
Yeah.
So if you mess up, someone's been like, that dumb son of a, right?
Yeah.
And they're going to look at you. So if you make that mistake, the fear factor, you're learning so much faster. You're not going to do it again. Whereas if you work in a chain of people, it is, oh, I'll just blame it on this person. I can't tell you how great it is to
so
wake up every day and not have to go, who can I blame? I'm going to go see my manager and bail me out of this. But at the end of the day, that manager made the same dumb mistakes and somebody else bailed them out. So they didn't really learn how to fix it. It was, just don't do it again.
Right. Slap on the wrist, move on. Yeah. Yeah, and I think, it's funny, you and I are both sitting here from a sales background.
We are sitting.
Oh, yeah, well. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know where you were going with that.
But most salespeople kind of end up in a situation like where they want to become an entrepreneur because you learn in sales how to run a business from start to finish. At the station, I was not only selling, I was having to grow current revenue with clients that I already had, selling new business, managing the back end, making sure I got the invoices, making sure that the script was correct.
Making sure it ran.
Making sure that it ran, making sure that it got the proper, in our world, points that they paid for. I mean, the whole process was literally, even my boss told me, you're running a small business within a business.
That's the only thing I can take from one of my bosses that I thought was brilliant is I remember him looking at the numbers. And, at the end of the year, and just like, who cares? It's Christmas time, whatever. And he's looking at my numbers and he goes, you're running $1 million business in that chair. Before that, I didn't realize what he meant. I thought we were all part of a team. And
right, yeah.
and all of a sudden I thought,
wait a second.
I've got my own business here. And when I had an interview where I eventually got the job, and the guy who interviewed me he could not read or write to save his life. And he ate, when you see those documentaries where people are bashing seals, that was what it was like to watch him eat. But he said something that stuck out. He said, I could run my own business today based on what I know. But he never did it. And he's still not doing it. And I remember saying, why is everybody so pigeonholed? Why won't they leave? Because of safety and security. Mm-hmm. But if you're willing to get safety and security, but what you're willing to do is settle for 4 to 7% of what your total revenue you're producing, do that, right? Sit there and get your health benefits, which I'm going to tell you right now, health benefits are not that expensive to buy because I've had to buy my own for 8 years. You have to do the same thing. Yep. People are so afraid of what could go wrong. So you're going to waste 10 to 20 to 30 years of your life sitting still because someone else will give you a check every 2 weeks.
Yep, that's exactly right. And removing we wouldn't get back into it, but just removing the emotions from it too. Realizing that the reason you're pursuing what you're pursuing is for yourself and to better where you want to go and accomplish goals that you've set for yourself. It's nothing more than using a skill set that you have and wanting to see that to the full potential.
Well, I want to stop you there because we're going to take a break, but I want to come right back on that. You're listening to the 101 brought to you by Lincoln Wallace. Back in. Now Jim's going to be Andrew on the radio. It's never going to work, Jim. You don't have the beard. Oh, he does have a beard.
Oh,
what am I bleeding through?
Look at that.
No.
Oh.
I just got you.
Look at this. Do something, lead, follow, or get out of the way. Ted Turner.
Yep.
This man kills buffalo.
Does he?
And he has 2 Ted's Montana grills now here in Columbus, in the Arena District and out at Easton. The one on Sawmill Road closed last
I
week.
heard that, yeah.
My mother loved that place. She was sad.
It's a good place.
Because she lives right nearby. Delicious bison burgers. Lead, follow, or get out of the way. Good advice from Ted Turner, Captain Planet.
And the ex-wife of Jane Fonda.
I said the ex-wife of Jane
I said
Fonda.
exactly the way I said it.
Yeah.
Yep, the ex-wife of Hanoi Jane.
That's right.
We ready?
Yes.
To wrap it up?
Yep. Welcome back to the 101, brought to you by Lincoln Wallace, Madison.
Yes.
I kind of stopped you because we were getting into, I'm going to just tell you the word I was thinking of, the passion behind why you're doing this. Because you said you're doing it for yourself. And I'd asked you before you came in if you had seen that Tom versus Time, that Tom Brady internet
documentary.
show. And within the first 2 minutes, I know that people are concentrating on the comment that was made about his daughter, but skip that. So once you get past that first 30 seconds. He is going from his house to a property where he has like a workout facility. And the quote he says is, you better be willing to give your life for this because I'm willing to give all of mine. And that's your business. Like when we look at Tom Brady, think he's an athlete or, he's married to Giselle, all that. Everything that guy has, he earned.
He's worked his tail off for it.
Right. And he's still doing it at 40 years old. So I thought that quote was very important because so many people want to be entrepreneurs. They want to run a business, but they don't want to be all in.
They don't.
You've got to be all in, right? Because I know that you travel a lot. I refuse to travel. So if there's someone listening in Denver or Texas, I'm not coming.
He's not coming. He's like John Madden, who won't get on a plane.
No, I'm like the guy, what's that movie, The Aviator? I'm like Howard Hughes. Yes. I'm going to sit in my house, and I'm never going to leave, and I don't want to fly.
We'd prefer you be there anyway, so
that's hurtful. We're going to put these microphones in my house.
Basement.
But the point behind that being is that you have to go all in, and you have to be very specific about what you want out of this, right? So you have to have measurable goals, and the thing I can't stand is when people say hustle or grind. Because it's such an overused term. You better be hustling if you're an entrepreneur, you have a small business. And if it's a grind to you, you have a job. Mm-hmm. You don't have a life or a lifestyle. You have a job.
Right.
and I will never have a job again.
That's right.
So, and you'll be the same way.
Yeah,
because you realize once you're out of jail, everything is available to you. You can get your hands on anything. It is the people that are like, I'm going to get started. I like what you're doing. I'm going to do it soon. You better hurry up because that clock is ticking. There's 86,400 seconds in a day, and you're burning that. Right?
Yeah, I think it's weird. We all secretly are driven off fear. Like, I think if you have fear in your life based off what you're doing, then that means you're doing something right. Because the fear, there's no reward without a little bit of risk or that fear of, I don't know if I can accomplish it, but I'm going to give it everything that I have. Look at Tom Brady. We're using him as an example. 6th round pick. He played at Michigan, but not as much as you would think that he would have.
He would come in the fourth quarter to win the game, but they wouldn't let him play most of the game.
Right. And here you have arguably the greatest quarterback to ever play the game, comparing him to Jordan as one of the greatest athletes ever. I think Tiger Woods was. But anyway. But, I mean, you have...
love that video game.
EA Sports.
Yeah, it's in the game.
But, I mean, Tom Brady is the perfect example of selling his soul, his life, everything that he wants. He puts it into it. And when I was the first day of nursing school, I'll never forget this, I had no idea what I was getting into. I went into nursing school because I already went into business school, didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I knew nursing. I love helping people. I loved that field. My mom was in the field. Most of my family's in that field. It was a job that I knew when I graduated I could go right to work. And there's a lot of comfort there, knowing that immediately you can take on this job.
Doesn't that drive you nuts when someone's like, I can get right into this field, no big deal? Yeah. It's like, remember you might have missed this ramp up, but people would come out of media sales and go right into pharmaceutical sales because they got a car and they got an expense account and they got all this
bigger base salary normally.
Yeah, and they had like, I work for, and when that industry went down, they couldn't get back in the media fast enough, or the jobs were taken. Right?
Yep.
You just became a salesperson. I never wanted to be looked at as a salesperson. What I wanted to be looked at is who I was as a person. I don't want to sell anybody anything. I want you to tell me what you want, and I want to find it for you. But I want to find it in mass amounts, and then you tell me how much of this you want.
Right. We're all, in a way, problem solving. Right? I mean,
well, that's the fun part.
That is the fun part. If you can problem solve, and even if you don't know how to fix the issue, if you're networking and you're meeting other people that are entrepreneurs or business like-minded and have businesses that you can feed off them, then now you have your bases covered to start your business.
Right.
I was just talking to one of my really good friends the other day, and I've been encouraging him for well over the last year and a half to start his own business. And so we just start crunching the numbers and talking about what that would look like. And he goes, I don't know how to do this part. I don't know how to do this part. The actual implementing the work, the pipeline of the sales, have that down to a science, but the fear is the unknown that I don't know. And I go, that's the beauty of it. You surround yourself with people that can cover the things you don't know, and they help you create your vision as a group, as a team. Right. And I think that's why Lincoln Wallace was started originally, was to give a solid foundation to people that want to pursue their dreams, that want to build something but don't have all the tools to do it. Well, here's one tool that's really important, the financial end, where you can grow your business successfully. I think it's just getting over the fear. The fear is half the battle. Because you're doing most people, if you're leaving a job to pursue another job, most of the time it's in that same field. You know what you're doing.
Right. You've basically taken your, I don't want to say internship, but it's just like college. If you can figure out how to ride that unicycle, then you can leave, and you can have your own circus. I remember the conversation. I was 27 years old, and I'll never forget this person, Jim Hearn, who works at Reichert. Jimmy.
I know Jim Hearn.
Yeah, you know Jimmy. I meet him for the first time. We spent 5 minutes together, and he goes, why are you wasting your time? Like, there's nobody in this restaurant. I'm looking around like, what? Why are you jumping on me? We just met. And he goes, you're wasting your time. You need to be doing this for yourself.
Yep.
And every time he would call me like once a month. Did you quit yet? Did you quit yet? Did you quit yet? And it only took 6.5 years of him calling me every week. And he finally called and I said, I'm done. And he said, I could not be happier. If it wasn't for him staying on me, because I would say, I don't know how to do this or that. And he's like, I didn't either.
Right.
But
you figure it out.
Yeah. And he works with the Arnold Classic. He works with Riker. But he's had so many life experiences, and I remember going to his office, and he'd have these pictures of his kids up, big posters of it. And this is even before I had my daughter. And I would look at it, and I'd be like, your life is what I want. Mm-hmm. It wasn't how much money he was making, because he was doing well.
Right.
And everybody knew who he was, but it was, I wanted what was on his wall. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And you see that, there's somewhere in there you go, I'm willing to do it because he did it.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and that's why you're where you're at right now. There's a law of attraction side of things that when people talk about, well, you can like self-create something in your mind and actually have it physically. All you're doing is you're hyper-focusing on a goal that you want to accomplish, and nothing's going to stop you from accomplishing that. You're not pulling magical stuff out of the air and like, I want a red Ferrari, so it's just going to magically appear if I think. No, you create something that's your goal, and you find ways to get to that goal because you're driven. And when I was sitting in nursing school, my day one, had no idea what I was getting into. The lady sitting next to me, I'll never forget this. We're sitting there, and I go, I'll be honest with you, I'm scared. Like, this is not a field that I know a lot about. And she goes, how bad do you want it? Mm. But think about that. Like, it's all about how bad you want something no matter what you go into. And whether you go to college and specifying a specific field and go that route, that's awesome. It's just finding your sweet spot, finding your skill set, and going all in. And to some people, that's 9 to 5. Awesome.
Yeah.
Have at it. For other people, that's not what motivates them. And I think encouraging people to follow their passion, to see something like Jim saw in you. I have friends, to this day, it's 7 months. I have 4 friends that I've helped start their business. Left their job, left what they were doing, started their own business. And I've been able to help them start from the ground up, and now they're reaping the benefits of taking that risk. Because you see something in somebody and you know that they can do that.
And the good thing is only 6 of them are homeless.
Right, yeah. So, their business has failed, but hey, they
can't watch this on Facebook because they can't afford their phone bill.
Right.
Listen, we've run out of time, but I would like to say we had an additional sponsor. Was all colleges in America sponsored this show. So at the end of the day, I don't think we really said this, but college is not what you need to be an entrepreneur, to start your own business. It helps. But at the end of the day, it is what are you willing to put in for what you're going to get out.
That's absolutely right. Yep.
I'd like to thank you for being here, and I'd like to thank Andrew for not being here.
Yeah, it's actually been amazing.
2 great weeks. We're going to sign off for this week, but we will see you next week on the 101, brought to you by Lincoln Wallace.
Thank you for listening to the 101, brought to you by Lincoln Wallace.